How to be a good construction foreman. I'm really excited about this video because I've talked about foremen before in previous videos. We've written books for foremen. We have complete resources for foremen. We have boot camps for foremen. I love foremen. Like, they are the heartbeat of the project. And we've gotten some questions from the previous videos and resources to now that I'm going to answer right now in this quick and impactful video. So stay with us. All right, so here are the questions. So what makes a good foreman in construction? I can simplify this down right now. Oh, let me tell you a story actually. And I have told it to you before in like books, but not on YouTube. I was once at the Whole Foods World headquarters at Hensel Phelps as a field engineer, and we were building that structure, but we were 3 stories into the basement, which is now the parking garage. And there were 2 reinforcing crews. One that was doing the walls and columns with me, the other one was doing the decks. And I remember looking at those 2, and Hensel Phelps did a great job like they always do. And that sounds toxic, but like we had to really rein in this one crew. And I was talking to the wall crew. He was doing great with his crew. And I was like, hey, why are the deck crews always having a hard time? Like, it is different work. By the way, both crews had done different types. So they had both done vertical work and the horizontal deck work. And so it wasn't the work specifically. But I was like, why is he always struggling? And he was like, Jason, that guy is always got his head below his backside. He's always working with his guys. When he stops, the crew stops, and he's not feeding the crew with materials and information. And he's like, what do I do? And I was like, well, you're always out here. I always see you with the crane hauling rebar and pictures to your folks. And I was super young, so I didn't put everything together yet. And he was like, my guys are never waiting on information from the shop drawings and submittals and never waiting on materials. And I'm always teaching them as I go. And I was like, oh yeah. And I looked at him and he didn't have his tools on him. He was literally just feeding the crew. And so my definition of a great foreman is that they're not off at Home Depot and they don't have their bags on unless it's a specific one-off circumstance. It does happen sometimes where you have like 1 or 2 people. Where you take your bags off when you're able to. Okay, so that accommodates and creates a safe place for those that have to work. But you stop working when you can, and the foreman plans, prepares, and feeds the crew with information and materials. That is my definition of a great foreman. Okay, so how do I lead the crew without micromanaging? It actually ties into the same story. If you're like just doing it with them, for them, micromanaging, telling them what to do, that's micromanaging. A great foreman will say, here are the materials pre-planned. Here is all of the information. Here is a full kit. And here, team, I'd like you to see the visual of the weekly work plan and day plan and how the work maps out in your zones and your logistics plans, basically putting up a visual crew board in the field and saying, hey, lead person and workers, how do you all want to build this today? And literally let them come up with the plan. And then, make some modifications and tweaks, but let them come up with the plan. Actually have them draw it on the board and make it to where their brains are engaged. And when you have to teach a skill, focus less on micromanaging, but more on, hey, let me show you how to do that. Hey, I'll show you a trick. Hey, this is how this has to go in. Let's do a bit of training. And then if they have the tools, the equipment, the materials, and the information and the training, they should be able to go and execute. And when we talk about holding people accountable, accountability is having clear expectations and helping the person reach those expectations. So that's how you do it. How can I improve zone flow and production rhythm? Well, let me tell you this. This is very simple. Do a better job. No, I won't say better job because you're already doing a great job. Expand how you're planning for the work in the zone. And again, I would like to see a visual board with the look ahead plan, weekly work plan, day plan, the picture, the plan view of the zone, the plan view of the logistics, and literally go through and plan that zone. Then allow the crew to go do the work. And then here's the key to production and zone flow. Before you move to the next zone, finish, demobilize, clean, and punch the work. And the most important part, huddle with the crew and do a reflection and ask, how can we do the next zone better? How do good foremen communicate with supers and PMs? Well, I'll tell you, the strategic horizons is the best way to do it. Be involved in the pull plan. Be involved in the look ahead planning where you make work ready and you identify and remove roadblocks. Be involved in the commitments and handoffs of the weekly work plan. do a daily foreman huddle every afternoon with the project team where you plan the next day and communicate. And when you have a handoff, talk to the other trade and the supers and say, hey, I have left this zone complete. I am moving to the next zone, and do it in a flowable fashion. And then the last question that we get asked a lot is, what habits differentiate a good foreman and a bad one? Well, let me just say this right now. I don't know that we can call somebody a bad foreman, but maybe an ineffective and not happy one. Let me just say this. A good foreman is a clean foreman. A good foreman is an organized foreman. A good foreman is a safe foreman. A good foreman takes notes and writes things down. A good foreman is involved in planning. And here's the biggest one, and I'll leave you with this. A good foreman does not start work until they have a full kit to finish it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, the preparing, doing, and finishing of work in one piece flow in a zone is the key to being a great foreman. I love this topic. If you have any other questions, please keep reaching out, because these have been some really cool recent ones. We want to hear from you in the comments below, and please check out the book Elevating Construction Foreman and the Miro board that I'm going to link you to in the description below. On we go.